passage. You pray with us. Beginning with verse number 10, Ephesians 6. Finally, my brethren, be ye strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, and above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation, and the word of the Spirit, sword of the Spirit, thank you, which is the word of God. Bring always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel. Verse number 16. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. That's our thought, and God help you to sense the necessity of Now we try always to be reasonable with you, so I feel that you can give your undivided attention as God speaks to us. All the fiery darts, every last one of them. But let me preface my thought with Paul's emphasis here. Paul said, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. And then he goes on to say, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Now listen. I'm not sure that you can fathom the emphasis that Paul is placing on this passage. Now I want you to listen. Paul is saying here that we are engaged in a mortal conflict. One that will determine our eternal destinies. And the enemy, our enemy, we can't handle with our hands, which will make it much easier, because we can locate him always and have him in view and perhaps demolish him. But he said, but that's not the kind of enemy you're dealing with. You're not only dealing with spirits, but those of the first magnitude. I want you to get it, children, and this is right. Now, my emphasis might not be sufficient here, but I trust God you hear me. Said you are dealing with not only spirits, but principalities. You know what a principality is? That means a whole domain, a whole nation. You're dealing with a nation of spirits. You wonder why you're pressed so hard, why temptation seems almost unbearable. You wonder the source of them, where they are coming from. You're dealing with a nation of spirit, not one spirit. You're dealing with an amalgamation here. You are dealing with Satan personified in person. Many of you will never stand because you will not sense what you're dealing with. That is the first thing that I tries to make a person aware of when it comes to this truth. Not only those who are initiated, but those who have been here and enlightened and are now trying to make a real plunge for all that God has. Now you listen to me this morning. When a person gets saved, enlightened, and inspired, there arouses in him a longing, an unquenchable thirst for all that God has. You have found the pearl in the field, and it is so delightful. Now you want to sell all that you got and get the whole thing, buy the whole field. That's how salvation works. If you get it, if you really get it, if you really get saved, according to the Bible, you're willing to sell all you got to get all that God has. All of this emphasis in crying out, consecrate, give up. Listen, listen. There is nothing that you possess, material or otherwise, that you are not willing to sacrifice if you get a taste of this glory. That's why some people prosper and some people don't. What are the few fleshy desires to give up for this glory? Amen. If you have experienced the true glory, the true unction of God, you will count those things that you have held dearly as dung by comparison. And that's what it is. If you're still struggling because I can't do this and I can't have no girlfriend no more, I can't go here no more, do you have salvation? That shouldn't be an issue. That should not be an issue. It should not be an issue. I don't want to drop this. I don't want to give up that. God help us. If you are not willing to exchange anything of this earth for the real glory of God, it's because you've not tasted it. And I'm telling you this. I'm telling you from experience. Now maybe you're struggling around trying to get hold of a little glory, but if you really got it, there is nothing, and everything that you've had or experienced is nothing by comparison. All right, we want to get to our point here. God bless us and help us. Say, listen, to not be aware of what you're dealing with makes it impossible for you to stand. The reason why most people don't get out in bed with God and give themselves to God because they don't realize what we're up against. As much as I emphasize this, do you know maybe 2% of the people are really aware of what we are up against and what we are facing and what we will face? You know the reason that I know that they don't know is because the lack of preparation. In 1991, I believe it was, during the time of this Middle East conflict, this confrontation with Iraq, and our commanding general says, wait a moment, we can't rush in on these people. Say, do you know we are dealing with the third largest army in the world? Those people have chemical warfare and nuclear probabilities. So listen, you don't just send 100,000 men out there and confront those people, and they open up all of this chemical warfare on you. We've got to get prepared here. So get us some armor, our engineers, our chiefs, that we've got to have something that will withstand that. And they began to get uniforms that would counteract that chemical warfare. And they sent to the general, says, send us those men. And not yet. No, sir. This general, a wise general, he sensed the necessity of preparedness. I'm not going to send these men have them slaughtered here. And so, after a while, the urgency grew, and they said, he's all right. My men are ready. Let Hussein come. We are ready to engage them. So they got out in that sandy desert, and they began marching in that direction. And while the Air Force was bombarding their troops, they were moving closer, ready for the confrontation. But favorably for him, he backed up. But our general knew that it would be suicidal to send a lot of men out there against that kind of capability unprepared. I am aware of the same thing. It would be suicidal spiritually so for me to send you out against the devil, knowing that you'll be mincemeat before noon. Now, if you don't know, if you're not aware, in fact, experience should have taught you that by now. If I say you're not ready, that should be sufficient. You should just get your little self, sit down and listen. And that's all. I told you all some time ago, and it's worth reiterating. Our Secretary of Defense, and I'm quite analytic in the time. I listen to things and I analyze it. And a lady who is necessary or responsible for our nation being safeguarded or being able to prevail in the event of war. So she was emphasizing to the nation what military preparedness is all about. She said, for us to be prepared, now you listen to this, we must be ready to fight 3 major wars at one time. You see all of the preparation, maybe 500,000 men and all those planes and all those ships and all those submarines just for one phase? And that was not a full-scale war? That was just one. That was just Iraq. But now, to really be prepared, you got to fight, be ready for Iraq. They got 700 planes alone, plus all this other stuff. And maybe Russia, who got maybe twice as many men and as much equipment as we have. And perhaps Iran. All you got to be ready to fight all of those at one time. You got to have ample planes, ample supplies, ample men, and ample everything. Otherwise, we go under. I said, Lord, have mercy. Let me make a spiritual application here. For you to be ready, and God help us. And despite all my preaching, most of you will never get ready. That's sad. I'm trying to emphasize what readiness is all about. I made the illustration some time ago. What would be a spiritual correlative here? All right, you got to be ready for a broken home, a ridiculous husband who's going out and staying and doing everything else, plus a chronically ill child, plus abject poverty, all at one time. Deal with all those things at one time. A critically ill child, a wayward husband who worried you to death, and not able to know where your next meal is coming from, all at one time. One of those would be devastating. But to be prepared, that's why I said most people don't even see it. Why? All of the time you're wasting, squandering opportunities when you could draw closer to God in these prayer meetings and days of fasting, and you're taking it for granted. I know you don't see it. But I'm trying my best to place proper emphasis so that it will arouse you to the extent you'll grasp it for it. Listen. I want to do a little analyzing, if you'll pray with me just for a few moments. In verse number 13, I believe it is. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand. Now let me tell you something, children. Listen to it. Many people are surviving, but they haven't stood. Just because you happen to live through a situation don't mean you stood. You can have a test, a temptation, or illness, or whatever the case might be. The fact that you lived 6 months after that don't mean you stood. The way you go through determines whether or not you stood, not the fact that you went through it. That's what I emphasize. You don't have no testimony if you didn't stand. Saint, the enemy sure came against me on my job. And this lady just gave me a free burlesque show. Well, and I'm still here. I know, but did you stand? I didn't touch it, but you don't have to touch it not to fall. A lot of people don't stand and we don't know a thing about it. You can flop and we don't even know it. And come back and raise holy hands like I said last Sunday. Most people's flops are not something that's open and flagrant. Many times it's something that's clandestine, that's done secretly, that does not surface until God finally exposes it. Come on! We're talking about a standing church, standing people. You can count them on your hand, as it were. Maybe we should dissect this thought of standing. You knock off your feet, goes under, and maybe wipe off the bruises and get up, come back to church after 2 weeks, and try to resume your native posture. But did you stand? That's the issue. Did you stand? After having done all to stand, that's what I'm trying to establish here. Standing people. Not a person who might be around here 40 more years. You can be around here 40 years flopping every other week. So your longevity means nothing but the fact that you've been around here a long time. Nothing more. I'm emphasizing the one standing. That's what it's all about, standing. Not standing physically to testify, but standing in the midst of a situation and not deviating one iota from what you know to be right, from what your conviction advocates. Y'all pray my strength. See, I know when a person's standing, when they're not, then God knows. Oh, saints, if you don't know what I went through, well, that's wonderful, but you don't deserve a lot of oohs and ahs unless you went through right. If you live, you're going through. But that's not the issue. Did you go through right? Did you stand in the midst of it? And you need to know when you flops. You need to know when you did not stand. It's in your favor, not mine. How you impress me about it don't mean nothing. But if you didn't stand, and it's not dealt with and admitted, you're going to have a great big fall later. Write that down in your book. Because it's going to be. It's going to be! Anytime a person flops, there should be an admission before there is a restoration. Oh, I had such a temptation on my job. But did you stand? Did you stand? The enemy really came against me. Did you stand? That's the issue. Did you stand? What? No, I didn't do nothing. No, you know I'm speaking about something deeper than that. Were you erect through it all? How did your reins tend? In which direction did your reins tend? Dear one, you need to know when you stood and when you didn't stand. Well, saints, you know, we had a problem in my home, me and my wife. We had a little conflict. Did you stand? See, there's a point you can go to and you're not standing anymore. See, when it turns into strife, you flop. Come on. Now, just because you went through and you testified and talked about it, you did not stand if you strove. That's what standing is all about. I went through and I didn't strive. See, strife is a spirit. It's not the way you say it. See, you can be almost silent and strive. And you might be sometime a little vocal and not strive. Oh, thank you. Pray for me. I got this thing under my left shoulder, and it's really, I've been having it 2 or 3 years, and you know, and through the crisis. I don't know if you stood. I'm not there all the time. We want to go. Listen. Let me read my subject text, if I may. Listen. Verse 13. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. All right. I want verse number 16. Latter clause. Wherewith ye shall be able to quench all. That's my text. Now you listen to me. Listen, give me attention here. Satan has darts many. Saints, listen to me, please. And they all are labeled lust, impatience, amen, vindictiveness, gossip. And listen to me, children. Brother Hampton, why is it that it seems that the enemy has prevailed? I know God says he will not prevail against his church, but it seems that the devil is prevailing, Brother Hampton. What's the matter? Why is it? I'm going to tell you why. Will you listen to me? Satan spends all of his time seeking to devour you all the time. That's all he does. And you spend some of your time trying to resist and involved in other things. So how can you win? And you know what Satan's doing? You'll listen to me. Satan has his darts and just waiting for you to make a move. Waiting. Just waiting for you to make a mistake. Waiting for you and your wife start talking. And push. You up there out to your second chicken dinner, and they never got a dart. And he think one day to make you eat another one. Come on. Thank God you're walking down the street. He knows your weakness already, and he knows that you should have overcome, and you have not overcome by yet, so he's waiting. On your job, wherever, he knows when and where. He knows the timing. He knows when to make you impatient. He knows you get talking and losing some stuff and can't find yourself, and it's time to come to church and all this kind of stuff, and your wife does it every Sunday. You withstood the boss all week, was sweet, when he was unreasonable, but now you're home. And you can't find the socks, the same one you couldn't find last week. Just waiting. That's what he's doing. That's why people go down. While you think you're strutting around and doing your little thing and call yourself being spiritual, the devil's just waiting. Just waiting. He's just waiting for your faith to get down below a certain level, and then flop, here comes something. I'm trying to tell you this. That's why many people who falls, not because they're weak, but they were unguarded at that moment. I'm telling you, so I don't care how strong you think you are. If you are unguarded for a moment, a dart's going to penetrate, going to get through on you. The devil is a sharpshooter. Brother, he can dart an eye. My God, he can hit a bull's eye about 1 inch in diameter, or a fraction of an inch, if you will. I'm telling you this, he's a sharpshooter. And he's always got his cocked all the time. He walks around in a correct position.
Come on, brother. Come on.
Why you're not watching? That's why the Bible says watch and pray always. Watch and pray always. Well, then what have you got to do? If you're walking around all the time in that position, you know what you got to do? Or you got to walk around that shield all the time. All the time. I'm telling you, that's what I got to do. Everywhere I go. I don't care where it is. Jamaica. Amen. Haiti. Anywhere. But then look at them palm trees. I ain't studying you. Might be somebody up in that tree. Praise God. Amen. I'm telling you, that's all the time. How'd you make it? Somebody, oh, brother, how you make it all those years? You know how I made it? You got where you picnicking and doing all that kind of mess. I'm doing this. Amen. What you do, you know what you do? You hold up here. And amen, get your shield down a little bit. They will shoot right over the top of it. Now I'm telling you, the Bible says watch and pray all the time. Since the devil is walking, seeking whom he may devour all the time, you got to watch all the time. Now, if you for any reason allow anybody to cause you not to watch for any distraction, it seems that Paul uses very extreme language. How in the world can anybody watch and pray all the time? Well, you better find a way to do it. The devil has no vacations.
Amen.
He doesn't take any coffee breaks.
So true.
There's not a time when he's not on hand to penetrate that one unguarded spot.
Preach, brother.
And that's all it takes. That's all it takes, because they are fiery and they're poisoned. And let me tell you something, children. You listen to me. You can try to deceive people if you want to by what? By snatching them out right quick. They're pink. Come to church. You're wounded.
Come on. Come on.
You're wounded. The hole might have closed up, but there's an...
Preach.
Years ago, when I was in the South, women used to take ice picks in their purse for men. They were there with ice picks. And I wonder why in the world would a person die from those ice pick wounds? That hole will close up on you, and you'll be bleeding to death on the inside, and you don't see nothing. That's where the devil does. That's where those darts are. Many saints of God, when they come to church, they've been wounded.
Preach.
And they're bleeding on the inside, still trying to portray a strong statue.
Bring it on out, brother.
What should we do? What should you do? When you sense it, instead of pulling the dart out and trying to prove something to us, Brother Pastor, saints, I've been wounded. Well, you didn't do anything. I know I've been wounded. I know I've been wounded. I know how I feel. I know what happened to me. I've been wounded. Now, I might look good to you. I've been wounded. Otherwise, you know what's going to happen? One day, you're going to come up looking real good and nice and all together, and you're going to sit in the chair and slump, and somebody goes, Brother so-and-so, wake up, please. Please wake up, sir. It's time to go. There'll be no response. You mess around and bled to death looking good.
Come on, brother. Come on.
You will come to church looking good, having been wounded a week ago, or last night, or night before. Nobody sees the wound. It's so small, it seems, but it tore you up on the inside.
Amen.
And now you're bleeding to death. And emergency surgery cannot help you at this point. How do you know? Because I've been in those trauma units, those emergency rooms, how many times when all that you see is a little hole torn up on the inside, and the doctor come and talk to the family. I've been there trying to console the family. They say, here comes the doctor now. Let's see what he has to say. Doctor said, we can't stop the bleeding. I'm sorry. We've tried. We thought for a moment we had it stopped. I said, Lord God, how many times has that happened among us when, amen, they've come and we applied emergency surgery, and as the saints, I think we might have stopped the bleeding, only to come back next week and say, I'm sorry, saints. I thought we had it stopped. They're gone again. They're back asking to it again. God have mercy. And this time, I think they've lost too much blood. I've told you this several times because this is a memorable occasion in the lives of mine and my family and those. My wife's brother, 16 years old. I remember that so distinctly. She called me early one morning, said my brother was killed. I said, what? What happened? In a car wreck or something? She said, no, a boy stabbed him. Had a little switchblade knife, a small blade, a little hole. We saw the trousers that he was wearing, about half an inch wide. Little blood. My wife supervised at the hospital during that time. She called the chief doctor. He came in his pajamas and looked him over, did a quick examination, said, I'm sorry, he lost too much blood. It dawned on the mother. He said, honey, pray, brother, pray. Lost too much blood, just a little hole. I don't know, those pants might still be intact somewhere, I don't know. About that big. Something that you thought would bring little or no harm. How many saints of God have come, and upon examination, all we see is a little disfigured spot about that big, and we feel surely nothing will become of that, only to find out after we check the blood count and all, and his stomach bulging with blood on the inside, that they've lost too much blood. I've seen it. I've seen it spiritually, and I've seen it physically. I've seen saints of God wounded, and after a while, their stomachs begin to expand with blood from that wound. Sometimes quarts. You only have so many pints in your body. And if it's all in your belly, you're gone, because it should be in your veins. Let's go a little further. Each dart is zeroed at our vitals. Many times the enemy will forego a leg shot to get a chest shot. Oh, Lord, it looks like I'm getting off into something else here. Many people the devil could wound because they're vulnerable. They're totally unprotected. Many of you here. The devil could inflict a great wound today, but he won't do it. Excuse me. Brother Hampton, why? You mean to tell me the enemy would pass up an opportunity to wound someone? Yes. Why? Waiting for a vital spot to open. See, if he wound you, it might end up just a flesh wound, and you'll recover. So he's waiting. He will not do what he could do because there's an opening around your leg. He's waiting, hoping that after a while, you'll drop your shield and he can hit you in the thoracic, in the chest region. So he just waits. And the little demon says, throw the dart, Beelzebub. I see his legs open. Just take your time. Don't get excited. I have something in mind. Take your time. Then after a while, he moves. The other leg's open. Get him, Beelzebub. He said, no, just wait. Don't get excited. I've been around 6,000 years. I know what I'm doing. If I shoot him in the leg, all he's going to do is wrap it up, and after a while, he'll be jumping again. Well, okay, he's training his little demons now. So after a while, Beelzebub says, okay, get your dart ready. You notice it? You notice he's dropping his shield. Notice it. And when he gets about this section, when he gets here, fire sharp and straight. By the time you get here, and then you lie kicking, and you quiver, and that's all over. You've seen it. Waiting for a vital spot to open. The devil is a tactician of the first magnitude. He knows warfare. You remember, I believe it was Ahab? And after a while, they drew the bow when they recognized him. He said, I've been wounded. He knew what it meant for an arrow to penetrate. Many of you, but he lost so much blood. Many of you, if you would cry when the enemy gets through on you. Say, I've been wounded. Then we'll rush to you. I said, bring my tourniquets. And bring me the gauze so I can apply pressure. We'll stop the bleeding. But you know what you do? You walk around until you're just about strutting, trying to prove a point, like you're whole altogether, until after a while your skin begins to change color and your eyes begin to dilate and so many other things. And after a while your knees begin to get like water and you'll make us wobble and then you hit the ground and it's all over. Brother, if you're wounded, admit it. I'm wounded, saints. I don't care, praise God. On Sunday morning, I'm wounded. Stop the service and pray for me. Do what you want to do. I'm wounded. You don't cry in time, that blood will keep dripping. That blood will keep spouting. And after a while, emergency surgery will be of no avail. Every fiery dart. Some people think that seemingly insignificant pricks means nothing. But the Bible says every fiery dart. Now, in many instances, people have received a wound in what did not seem or what is not normally a vital area and died. Shot in the foot. Or wherever. Maybe cut a main artery. So it does not have to be in the heart or in the head. Many times when people commit suicide anyway, it's not, they don't stick a knife in their head necessarily or in their heart. Their little humble wrist. And after about maybe 3 minutes or so, they begin to see spots before their eyes. And they sink off into kind of darkness, and that's all over. I'm wounded. I'm wounded! But you're the king. You're the king. I don't care who I am. I'm wounded. He was a king. But he messed around. They shot him between the harness, and he bled to death. He says, young men, help me. I'm wounded. I'm wounded! He wasn't dead, even though he had been shot, but he was wounded. He was fatally wounded. Many of us, until you die, I guess some of you will be like my father-in-law, if you could talk. When he was ill in his last days, I guess he had thought so much about death, he jumped up on the side of the bed and said, I'm dead. That would be fitting for some of you all to say. You must be protected from every dart because any penetration could be fatal. You might last a little longer with some wounds than others, but any wound could be fatal, children. You find people in the emergency room. Maybe 4 people came in last night with gunshot wounds. Apart. But they all have the same eventual fate. They dies. We need to sense the seriousness of wounds. I preached that message in New York. It might be good if you buy the tape. Some people are unprotected in certain areas. You know, you get me, children. Do you know there are many people who have so fortified themselves in certain areas that they feel that they are invincible. They figure, I can't die because I'm so strong in that area. I don't even look the second way at a boyfriend. I haven't done it in 15 to 25 years. Dear one, let me tell you something. Most people that go out don't go out for boyfriends. they are unprotected in other areas, areas which you might least suspect of penetration. You think it's not necessary to work on this area because it wouldn't be too serious if I got a wound here anyway. And I'm going to tell you something, dear one. You talk to any doctor. Many times you said, I received a dog bite. They said, did you break the skin? Or I got a bump. Did you break the skin? You know why they want to know if you broke the skin? Because if you broke the skin, your blood stream is exposed. And they know there's something, some extraneous matter gets in your bloodstream, infection might ensue, and then gangrene, then you're gone. Any little prick, even a pin prick, any wound is serious. There are no insignificant wounds, whether you think so or not. You might have survived many, but you could have died with any of them. Any of them! I've known people to cut their toenails too short and die to the quick. That's right. Cut their toenail, cutting off their toenails and cut it to the quick and die. Who would think a person would die because they cut their toenail too short? Well, it has happened. It has happened. But see, many times you don't regard little things like that. What's the matter? Look like you had a problem. Well, you know, at home, me and my wife, we just had a few words. But you better get that straight. That's a serious matter. Because after a while, that's going to weaken you, and it's going to expose another area because you won't be able to hold your shield up. You're getting weak now. That's what happened to many boxers. They keep pounding. After a while, they get tired, and they can't hold the guards anymore. Drop the guards. Let me tell you something, dear one. In the medical field, many people goes down for good because they didn't get there in time. They didn't get there in time. The emergency squad was detained by a train or whatever the case might be. And while they were detained, the person was still bleeding. Or they might have waited and decided it'll be all right. Many people get wounded. Well, it'll wear off. Let me tell you something, dear one. Wounds will not wear off. If you were wounded, if you don't take care of it right, it'll never heal. I'm telling you that. That's why I can tell you. Many people don't want to hear that. If you go through something, you might think, I don't want the embarrassment of it. Well, I tell you what, if you don't do it right, it'll never heal. Now, you can be around all you want to, you can shout all you want to, but it'll never heal. Unless the process is right, it will never heal. It might scab over, but it's just as raw and putrid underneath as ever. Come on! Many people are nourishing old wounds. I knew a young lady, my sister's friend in Arkansas. I believe maybe way back somewhere in the 30s. They were going somewhere, and she was in a car accident, and she injured her arm. And that arm ran a kind of corruption for as long as I knew her there. When she finally left Arkansas, she left wrapping that arm, and you could see all this staining those bandages. It never stopped running while she was there. All those years. There are people but she went on to try to live a normal life because she had to live, and at that time they didn't have all the sophisticated medication and all these specialists and whatnot, way back in the 30s. In fact, there were some people that didn't even have the privilege to go to hospitals. And so that wound lasted. She was living with it. It was even smelly, but she had learned to live with it. You can learn to live with your wounds. Never heal. Never heal! That it might eventually turn cancerous. You remember, we had a sister here, you remember the sister here, who died back in 78? A very popular sister in our midst. I don't want to call names because sometimes we play with broadcast and I wouldn't want people to think that, mention the name of their relative parents. But anyway, when she was young, her father hit her with a shoe on the back. And it raised a knot. It wounded her. And maybe 40 years later, that knot began to bother her, and it began to erupt. And there was a kind of a emission there of fluids. And after a while, it opened up. And some of you all here saw it. You saw it. You looked at it. But of course, it being on a personal part of our body, we just went and prayed. We didn't, of course, look upon it. But some of the sisters did, they dressed it and all this kind of thing. And you know what? She began to sink. One night, one of the brethren and I thought we would stay there and pray through the night with her. And I was tired, worn out, and I was sitting on the floor, and I slumped and sleeping. And I felt him, Brother Hampton, I think she's dead. And I looked over, and there was a motionless frame from an old womb that she thought was clean gone. Certainly she existed that long, she thought nothing could become of it. Many people have gone over old wounds and think they've gotten clean away. They never healed it properly. And later on it turns into something else. That's what will happen. If you had come, we could have applied ointment. But you feel because it didn't kill me, and I've lived this long, so I must be all right. But the one you let Brother Hampton tell you this morning, if it's not healed, it's going to erupt on you again. And will likely take you out of here. I don't care how insignificant the wound might seem. You cannot go against your conviction without being wounded. You cannot put a foot across the line without being wounded. It does something to your spirit, whether you know it or not. And unless it's healed, you'll always have a wound until finally it terminates you. My God, have mercy. That's why we're here. We're not here to hurt you. We're here to help you. Don't hide it from us. In Arkansas, back in the 40s, a young girl in my class contracted a venereal disease. She knew nothing. She was about 14 or 15 years old. Went with an old fellow who was dibbling and dabbling with whomever. And she was living with her aunt. Her aunt raised her, a school teacher. And so she began to get sores in her secret parts and whatnot. And that being so a secret and whatnot and personal, she would not divulge it. Until after a while, that girl, when they finally found her going down, it was in a mess. Fortunately, they were able to get her out of town to some kind of institution, and she recovered. But she was on her way out of here because what? She had a wound, and she did not divulge it. She did not make it open, and just went on trying to live with it and conceal it by acting normal. Going to school every day, getting the lessons, and sinking by the moment. How many people have been wounded secretly and trying to go on in that normal fashion? Normal fashion! Nobody would know that because who would examine her that close? Until it began to show on the outside. But by the time, many times when it began to show on the outside, it's too late. The deterioration has gone to a point that recovery is almost impossible. Oh, blessed God. Listen, children, let me tell you this. I'm going to try to conclude this, if I may, very briefly. But if you just listen to Brother Hampton this morning, just for a moment. Everyone that has ever fallen was because a dart penetrated. Everybody. The hundreds of people that you've seen go through here, of every imaginable stature and position, it is because a dart penetrated somewhere. Otherwise, you couldn't have gone down. If that's the case, and people of that stature prayed and went forth like they did, it seemed you would understand you've got to go beyond the mark. You've got to go beyond the ordinary to be protected. It seems you would understand that. How many people have you known wounded and would not cry, I'm wounded, and finally ended up gangrenous, or the infection have spread it throughout their entire system? How many
why I tell you about all this personal stuff till you get in trouble and you confess one time and you won't want to confess again. Yeah, me and Sister so-and-so, we had a little smooching meet last night. We smooched. So forgive us, saints. And the next time you smooch, you're going to be embarrassed and you ain't going to tell it. You won't say I'm wounded this time. You just go on and try to act, though I'm still robust, I'm sturdy, and I have all of my stuff together. And while you are going on with your act, your body is deteriorating. And after a while, you'll find it's going to be a little laborious to get out of the bed in the morning. You're going to find out that when you walk a block now, you'll have to stop and lean on a tree where you used to jog 2 miles. You're going to find a vital difference in your whole demeanor, in your whole activity. You're going to find a vital deterioration. That's why you need to listen to the word of God and listen to the man of God and keep yourself out of those positions. Because the devil knows if you close it up, it's going to be eating on you like a cancer. And by the time we find it out, your demise has already been consummated. Read me one more scripture, Ephesians 4:26, briefly. Keep me going here because we're going to close. 4:26, if you will. Be ye angry. Sin not. Angry. Wait, I don't want to go into that. Anger is an emotion, but not all. But this stuff that people are flying off the handle, that's not justifiable. That's not what he's talking about. He means that there might possibly be a hurt or dissatisfaction. When you say sin not, but see, when the devil penetrates, it's going to turn into something else. It's going to turn into something else. It's going to turn into bitterness. It's going to turn into strife. It's going to turn into malice. Go on. Sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath. Neither what? Don't give no praise to the devil. He's a sharpshooter, I told you. Come up everything. That's why Paul says, take on the whole armor, take on the helmet, the breastplate, feet, everything. Why? The devil is a sharpshooter. Don't give him no place. Everywhere he shoot, be protected. So it'll bounce off. Don't walk around. I think the president, Kennedy, they tried to get him to wear that protective gear, and he wouldn't. He figured Secret Service men was enough, and nothing would happen to him. He wouldn't wear those vests. He wouldn't wear it. And they had talked about having a bubble top car with bulletproof plastic, riding down in a convertible. No bulletproof vest. And one day a sharpshooter with a scope leveled in on that slow-moving traffic and zeroed, and his brain splattered. The devil is a sharpshooter. I tell you all watch it. I'm doing the best I can this morning to make you aware of it. And if indeed you have been wounded, there's hope if you get to the physician in time. If we can perform surgery in time, but if you don't tell us, if you act like nothing happened, we'll just find you with your feet sticking out behind the car one day. We'll find a motionless frame. We're here to help you. We're not here to finish you off. You don't need to be afraid of us. But you should have been afraid of you weren't. Amen. Brother Hammond ain't gonna hurt nobody. I might send this gospel sharp on you, kind of make you holler a few times, but other than that, don't give no place to the devil. I keep telling you. We talk about one-on-one. That's his idea. Well, go ahead then. You giving place to the devil. God made man and woman with a natural attraction. Not only yours. Whenever two of the opposites that get together, there's an attraction there. I don't care where it is, that's natural. You understand? Natural. If I need to go further by illustration. I don't care if you go to New Guinea, where the Aborigines are who don't know, never seen one of the opposite sex. But put two of them together in a year's time, maybe three. Ain't gonna tell me about no. You ain't got to tell them nothing. No lessons, no seminars, no nothing. Just put them together. And if you're uncareful, some of you all in the Church of God keep flopping around. And that's going to be 3. I'm going to tell you, you give place to the devil. You don't do that. You don't know better than the Holy Ghost. You don't do that. If you do it, you're going to get wounded. And then you're not going to expose it. And then your wound is going to putrefy on you. There are those of you who I'm certain you have your little self-constructed armor and it's not working. There are those who have been wounded and don't want to expose it. And it's getting worse by the day, whether you know it or not. And after a while, you're going to be conspicuous by your absence. I'll be looking over the audience, and after a while, you see me go back in the office, and you wonder why. And I'll be going looking over the phone list, looking for your name so I can call and see you, give an account of your absence. What's the matter? What happened? Well, Brother Hammond, I don't know, I just had a problem. Looked like I can't make it. Well, I told you that a long time ago. If you keep on giving place to the devil, you wouldn't make it. So get on over here, let us try to see if we can't get you before you bleed your last drop of blood. I don't know if I might already bled it. I hope not. If you have anything